All right, welcome everyone to another episode of YYC Business Speaks. Today we have Sam Friley and we're going to jump right into it. Hey Sam,
Hello.
tell me a bit about your business.
I started Buttermilk Fine Waffles in 2015 as a brick and mortar restaurant on 17th Avenue in downtown Calgary and ran it for about 4.5 years, 3.5 at one location and then a year at a separate location. And since closing the restaurant in 2019, I've switched focuses and I'm now focused on bringing retail products to market, specifically dry mixes such as our pancake and waffle mix, a new just add water formula, and we'll see what else happens this year. We're going to bring on a few more products and keep growing.
What's getting you in this like creative state in creating all these products? How do you generate these ideas?
I mean, I don't think creativity's ever been my problem. I would say that that's my natural go-to would be the creative uh, and inventive kind of realm of entrepreneurship. I would say that the operations side and the managing side have been more of a learning curve for me. So creating and innovating would be definitely my strong suit.
And so you're more of a natural creative.
Yeah, definitely not a manager, and that's not uncommon that creative people aren't naturally gifted at managing. I do believe that they're separate muscles.
Yeah.
Not that a creative person can't have creative ideas around management, but I think a certain level of emotionality comes with creativity, and I think that I think that there is room for emotion in management, certainly emotional intelligence, but predictability, systems, all those things that make employees feel structured and safe can be more of a challenge, I think, for a creative to create in a work environment. So, without droning on, I would say I'm much more leaning on my skills now as bringing products to market, focusing on like graphic design, marketing, web design, um, than I was in the seat of manager of a team at a restaurant.
Right. I think I'm the opposite of you. I love managing. I'm great at managing, but the creativity is not usually my cup of tea. I got to work hard at that stuff. I need a bit of your brain.
Well, it takes a village, that's for sure. And I'd say they're just from what I've seen, truly gifted managers are a unicorn. And if you can find one in your organization, you consider yourself very lucky. Because it is very, a lot of people want to be managers. I think often for the wrong reasons. And you got to be particularly weary of those people finding their way onto your team who just out of their own sense of or a lack of uh, mm, what would you say? Sometimes the desire to control other people can come from a sense of inadequacy,
Hmm.
and that's not a place you want to manage from. So,
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, tell me what the greatest impact the pandemic has had on your business.
uh, well, for one, I got laid off from a job that I had found on my way out of the restaurant business as a means of paying off my heavy debt load. Um, I'd only been there like 3 months and I just got into full salary and I got laid off. And at that moment, it was just the most natural thing in the world for me to just start hustling my waffle mix, which I still had 2,000 pounds of, you know, and immediately I just transitioned to, you know, improving my website, using my social media to market the waffle mix, and start doing like door-to-door delivery. Um, you know, we set a minimum order price of $40 and you got free delivery anywhere in Calgary. And all of a sudden it just started taking off as people wanted groceries delivered. And there were also shortages. I think there was some level of panic buying going on. But that initial jump in cash flow allowed me to, one, see the viability, and two, have the money to invest a little bit more in packaging and in online advertising, and purchasing more product. Yeah, so that was the initial effect of the pandemic.
So it sounds like you pretty much pivoted pretty quickly from when the pandemic started to really taking on the waffle mix and selling and marketing that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much, like, I don't know how much planning goes into my life. I think I'm more comfortable once the ball is in play. Um, you know, I'm not one of these people that believes there's like one path or one person for you or what, you know, I think it's all just circumstantial. Um, but I am absolutely certain that I'm meant to work for myself. And, you know, whatever I'm doing, I'm going to inject my creativity and my love for, um, you know, how things look and feel and taste, um, and how people connect with what you're doing, whether it's selling waffle mix or, I think I'm never going to be able to sell something that I don't love. You
Yeah,
know, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I'll really ever begin to selling tires, you know,
right.
but yeah.
So what difference has it made for you when you switched and started in your business? Like, what are the results that you've had over this last year?
Well, you know what? I went from, you know, as a restaurant, I don't know if we ever broke $600,000 in revenue for a year, which is not enough money. Like, maybe if you were like a mom and pop shop and you wanted to basically run the till and make the food and but you know, I had a team and I wanted to run a busy, exciting restaurant that was growing and maybe multiplying locations, and our revenue was never going to sustain that. But you know, you know, more typically in the last couple of years, we do a 500,000 or 450 grand with, you know, 10 or 12 staff, and there was never any um, profitability. Whereas last year, I didn't actually intend when I closed the restaurant to keep the business alive and the brand alive, but it very organically produced about 250,000 in revenue. So a little more than half of what it did as a restaurant, but with no employees and no lease. So
Wow.
that was the moment where I was like, because I've, you know, it truly is not what you make, it's what you spend. And all of a sudden, the balance sheet worked and I was paying off my debt and paying off, you know, GSTO to CRA and credit cards and lines of credit and just plowing it all, every dollar I made plowing it into the debt. And by the end of the year, I was out of debt and able to quit my day job and focus exclusively on growing buttermilk. So
Wow, that's awesome. So, like, the unexpected turn of events with the pandemic really served your business, really, because you were able to create new ideas with it and really have it turn out in your favor. I don't know, did you expect it to be that way when it all started?
um, I mean, the pandemic, you know, there were winners and losers, and so much of business is, people say you make your own luck. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think that luck is obviously, they say it's where preparedness meets opportunity. And that's true, right? But I worked my ass off with that restaurant. I put so much creativity and focus and love and energy into that for 4 years. And
Hmm.
it did nothing but lose money. And
Right.
then all of a sudden I pretty much see the ball rolls by me and I kick it through and I get through the end posts, and it's so I think that there's a huge amount of timing based in business, right? Like for instance, right now, if you were in the spin cycle studio business versus selling Pelotons, right? It's just, there's so much timing in it. Having said that, I think what this has all taught me is like right now, like I sell waffle mix online, I sell it in grocery stores. um, Having said that, I've got 3 or 4 other um, horses in the race, I like to say. I
Mm,
don't think I'd ever have one horse in the race anymore, because
right.
it was excruciating to lose that much money month after month, year after year.
Right. Yeah, that's a good lesson. And are there any other mistakes that you've made along the way that other entrepreneurs can learn from?
Um, Look, just my personal opinion, but I think that the restaurant model is damn near impossible. Having said that, if you truly love it as a lifestyle, go for it as a lifestyle, because that's what it's going to be. Um, but, for me, I don't want to do one thing 10 hours a day or 12 hours a day. Like, I don't want to run a restaurant 12 hours a day. Like, for me as a creative, I want to
Hmm.
do 10 different things every day. Right now with my business, I'm creating a cartoon character to tell the story. I'm bringing 3 or 4 different products to market. I'm thinking of new ways to inject the smell of waffles into things you wouldn't normally think. Um and like that creative energy that wants to switch gears all the time, like it doesn't really fit with managing people or running a brick and mortar 7 days a week, because you just you feel bored and trapped as a creative if you can't constantly be trying new things. So I would say,
Right.
yeah, if I had advice, it'd be like, figure out first of all what kind of a person you are. There's a lot of different books, but I think I would never, although, I would never, I loved that restaurant and I'm really grateful for it, because it was my first business. I didn't give up easy. I gave it everything. And I learned so much about myself through the process. And none of that could have been bypassed or shortcut. That was all just first business, and a lot of really good, incredible experiences. But and I built a brand that's now supporting me,
Mm,
and I still have huge dreams for the brand, but they've definitely evolved into a lot of different entities within my mind that I'm just slowly kind of tackling. The other thing I'm doing is I'm doing it this time on cash flow, not debt, because everyone's a hero when they raise $500,000 bucks. But it's really easy to raise out. It's you feel like really powerful when you're writing these huge checks and buying equipment. But when you're doing it on cash flow, you're doing it honest. Like, I'm not saying there's no room for debt or raising money, but that's really dangerous for a first-time business owner, because it's really easy to delude yourself that this is sustainable or you're growing. But with cash flow, it just keeps you honest.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, I think a lot of
you
business
grow as
owners
fast
go
as
through
your,
that.
sorry, go for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think a lot of business owners go through that with, being in debt, building their business. And then sometimes it actually turns them having a business itself. And then they want to go back to being an employee because it's a lot easier than managing, what they're managing with their business.
Yeah, I was an employee last year for a year. And there was aspects of it I really loved. I loved the camaraderie, because when you're the owner, I mean, right now I'm an owner of a company of one employee, me, but regardless, it's nice to have the camaraderie of being a coworker. And you truly do like punch out at 5, and like you don't really think about it after that, right? So that's nice.
Yeah.
I think that but for me, the second I bumped up against any sort of constraints on my creativity, or any sort of like organizational inefficiency or structure that didn't allow me to do what I wanted when I wanted, I was out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I think like
Like,
at
not
this
doing
point,
this anymore.
no, no. If you looked at my resume, it would be a lot of jobs that I worked for 1 to 2 years, and tell you, 2 years felt like a lifetime. So
Yeah, I definitely get that. Okay, where
don't
can people
hire
find
me.
you?
Don't hire me.
Just buy your product.
Don't hire me.
That's awesome. Where can people find you, Sam?
um, People can find me. I should just have a list in my wallet, because I always miss one person or one store, and then they like send me a note like, don't forget about me. But right now, most Calgary Co-op locations, it should be all Calgary Co-op locations, but once in a while, a grocery manager forgets to order and stock the shelf. Having said that, this year is my year to really focus on my retail relationships and make sure that all those stores know who I am. And so anyway, Calgary Co-ops, starting on February 22nd, will be in all the Sunterras in Alberta. Um, and we're in all the blush lanes in Alberta. So there's 3 in Calgary, 1 in Edmonton. Spud delivery in Calgary. Um, there's also like all the local spots in Calgary: Empire Provisions, Our Daily Bread, Cookbook Co., Lina's Italian Market, the Italian Center, Luke's Drug Mart. All these great local retailers, which I love so much. Uproot in Edmonton, and
Mm-hmm.
online buttermilkfinewaffles.com. We're upgrading the website right now to Shopify, and it's going to be way better very shortly. And I probably missed a few places, and I'm sorry for that, but yeah, we're growing quickly.
Are you on Instagram or Facebook or some other
It-
social media?
yeah, we're on Instagram at ButtermilkYYC. Facebook,
Okay, cool.
yeah, we're on Facebook, but to be honest with you, like I don't really do much on it. What is Facebook?
Okay.
I don't know.
So you're
I
Buttermilk
probably
YYC
should.
on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram is where the focus of our marketing efforts are. And the
Right. And
website,
then what
actually.
was it? Buttermilkfinewaffles.com?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the new website because it's going to have an interactive map where you can find our products. It's going to have more tutorials. Also this Sunday at 10 a.m. Instagram live tutorial on how to make the perfect waffle.
Right. Cool. Okay, one last question. Tell me what's most inspiring to you today.
Hmm. What is most inspiring to me today? Um, I guess that would be maybe kind of like what I think about most often around my business. Um, oh man, I should definitely have a more prepared answer for this, but I would say what's going on with e-commerce and how quickly that's growing, and all of the amazing talent out there. Like right now, I'm working with a graphic designer in New York who's 23 and I've never met her. We work purely online together. And at first, like,
Mm,
this new generation, and I'm part of it, but it's like, they don't care about grammar, formalities, pleasantries, but there's a certain just like kind of cutthroat efficiency to it. And I like it a lot because there is so much talent out there that isn't part of an agency, but they're ready to rock. And so I'm
yeah.
inspired by the graphic designers. I'm very inspired by a local cartoonist I'm working with right now, named Evan Bryan. And for sure, when I'm communicating with these creatives about my brand and my vision, that's like, you know, where I'm most inspired and comfortable.
Right. So seeing your brand and your vision basically come to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And seeing other people buy in and like put me in my place sometimes too. Like graphic designer being like, no, no, I'm not doing that. That's stupid. And you're just like, okay, someone else cares.
Yeah. Allowing them to add their expertise in the mix as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Calgary, the city we're from, like the city that has been through a real rough 5 years, and it was funny. I was talking to my friend the other day who owns a local roastery, and he's like, nobody loves us except for us. And it can feel a little like that in Calgary sometimes, that like, and for sure, like we rub, other parts of the country the wrong way. But like, I think a lot of people think, maybe people from central Canada think that like we're the new Detroit, or our best days are behind us. But I do think that there's some level of lack of confidence to reinvent ourselves as a city,
Hmm.
and that is definitely being reinforced by our leadership. But when this thing wakes up and people start really putting their expertise and that Calgary spirit into creating the next, you know, economy for Alberta, it's going to be unstoppable.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are in that same mind frame where we're looking at what can we do in Calgary and in Alberta to really have things moving.
Yeah, there's a lot, but you know, I humans are we're a tribe, and we look to our leaders, and I think that more likely than not, those leaders that are going to show us the way out of this are going to come from small business, not government.
Yeah.
Government's
I
there to regulate and keep us from killing each other, but beyond that, like we just see the level of incompetence, city, province, like nationally, and it's just like, oh god. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know how we get better talent in that realm. That's the tricky part, right?
Well, that's part of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Sam, for coming on the show. Everyone who's listening or watching, it's buttermilkfinewaffles.com if you want to find Sam's products. And thanks for tuning in.
Right on.